Hey, welcome back to another walkthrough. This walkthrough, we're going to go through Chapter 10 Grader Project, Chamber Programs. This assignment's a little bit more in-depth than our last few assignments, but here we go. First, let's go ahead and download our materials. And we'll click on Download Materials. And once again, click on the individual download buttons. Do not click on the Download All Files button. We do not want to download the zip file. So I'm going to download the instructions, which I recommend that you print out. We're going to download our student file and our Ambassadors Club document. And then go ahead and open up your student file. And then once it's open, hit Enable Editing. All right, let's begin. Very first step, it wanted us to download our files, which we've done. So let's go ahead and go on to step number 2. Apply the heading 1 cell style to the paragraphs networking, special events, workshops and seminars, and other chamber services. So easy enough. We'll go ahead and we can come down to networking, highlight networking, and then come up here to the home tab. And under our styles group here, click on heading 1. And then let's go ahead and do that for special events. We'll highlight special events. We'll come back up here to our styles group, click heading 1. And then I'll scroll down and I'll find workshops and seminars. I'll highlight that and click on heading 1. And continue to scroll down. I will find other chamber services, highlight other chamber services, and click on the heading 1 style. Now for step number 3, it wants us to apply the heading 2 style to morning, lunches, ribbon, business training, partner or new members, industrial, government, and recycling. Well, that's easy. We'll go ahead and scroll all the way back to the top of the document. We'll go ahead and highlight morning business connection, set to heading 2 style under our styles group here. Same thing with lunches and mixers. We'll come up here and set heading 2. And then underneath special events where it says ribbon cutting ceremony, we'll highlight that and we'll set it to a heading 2 style. And continue to scroll down here where it says new member orientation. I'm going to highlight that and I'm going to set it to a heading 2 style. Industrial forum, I'm going to highlight that and do a heading 2 style. Where it says government relations, heading 2 style, and recycling program, I'm going to do a heading 2 style. Now what these styles will do is when we create our index and when we create our table of contents, it will create a table of contents based on the heading. So heading 1 will be our main heading, and then underneath that will be our heading 2 styles. And we'll see that as we kind of go along. So now it says, beginning with the paragraph networking, select the entire remaining of the document and create a master document. So let's go ahead and highlight networking all the way down to the remaining end of the document, all the way down here to the bottom. If you haven't done so already, please go to the Home tab and turn on our paragraph markings. Go ahead and click on this Show Hide button and make sure you see our little paragraph marks. So once you have all of this highlighted from networking all the way to the end of the page, we are going to create a master document. And to do this, we're going to go to our View tab. And from our View tab, we're going to come over here to our Views and click on Outline. And under our outline, right here where it says Master Document, go ahead and click on Show Document. And we are going to create. And what that's going to do is it's going to put in a section break here at all of the different sections that we created. And now we're going to add in a new section. So we're going to go ahead and scroll all the way down to the bottom of the document. And right here at this very last paragraph marking, go ahead and click right there at that paragraph marking, or you can hold down the control key and hit end, and it'll take us to the bottom of the document. and we want to insert our Ambassadors Club file. Now to do that, we are going to come back up here to our outlining group here. We have our master document. Let's click on Insert. And from Insert, let's go to our Downloads folder. So we'll come up here, find my Downloads folder, and here it is. Here is my Ambassadors Club file. I'm going to click on that and hit Open. And it's going to put in the Ambassadors Club file for us. And it's going to put it as its own section. Now it wants us to change the word various to numerous. So let's go ahead and find where it says various under Ambassadors Club right here, various events. I'm going to right click on various. And I'm going to go to synonyms and select numerous. And now it wants us to unlink all of our subdocuments. Well, to do that, I'm going to click right here at the end of Ambassadors Club. And once I get there, I'm going to click on Unlink. And then I'm going to scroll up to Other Chamber Services. I'm going to click on Other Chamber Services here. And I'm going to hit Unlink. And then I want to come up here to Workshops and Seminars. I'm going to put my cursor after Seminars and hit Unlink. And I'm going to come up here to Special Events and hit Unlink. And then scroll up to Networking. I'm going to click on Networking, hit Unlink. And now all of them have been unlinked. And it also wants us to remove all of the section breaks. Well, I'm going to start from the bottom. So here's this section break right here. I'm going to click inside this section break here and hit the delete key, and it will delete the section break. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on this section break here and hit the delete key. And then I'm going to click on this section break and hit the delete key. And scrolling up, I'm going to find these section breaks here. Click on the section break, hit the delete key. Going to click on this section break, hit the delete key. And I'm going to scroll up. Here's this section break. Click on it, hit the delete key. Click on this section break, hit the delete key. And scrolling up, I'm going to find these last three section breaks. Click on it, delete. Click on it, delete. And then click and delete. Now I'm going to scroll through. I have removed all of the section breaks. And now we want to close our outline view. So I'm going to come up here and click on Close Outline View. All right, so now in our document, we have created all of these different subsections, and we've included the new Ambassadors Club subsection here. On page 1, insert the footer with the file name and the page number. So I'm going to go ahead and hold down my control key and hit home, which will take me all the way to the top of the document to the first page, or you can just go ahead and scroll up. To insert my footer, I'm going to go to my Insert tab. From my Insert tab, I'm going to come to my Header Footer group here. Click on Footer and Edit Footer. All right, so it says in the left over here, it wants me to put the file name. So I'm going to come up here to my Insert grouping where it says Document Info. I'm going to click on File Name. And then I'm going to hit the Tab key once and hit the Tab key again. And it's going to take me all the way over to this side. And now I want to insert the plain number page number. So I'm going to come up here to my header and footer where it says page number. I'm going to click on page number. And I'm going to do current position. So I want it to be right where it's at. And I want it to be a plain number. So I'm going to click on plain number. And now notice I have page 1 right here. And go ahead and close header and footer up here. So now if I scroll down, notice that I have page 1 and I have page 2 and then lastly page 3. So now for step number 7, it wants me to apply headers or captions, I should say, to the 4 tables. So I'm going to scroll back up here. These are my 4 tables. So I want to start with the first table here. I'm going to hover over the first table. Notice I get this little icon right here. I'm going to click on the icon. It's going to select the entire table for me. I want to go to my References tab. And from my References tab, I want to insert a caption. And now my caption dialog box shows up. So it already says Table 1 for me. Table, it's going to be above, and that's where we want it. We want it above. So right here where it says Caption 1, your cursor's already there. Go ahead and put in a colon, not a semicolon, but a colon. And then 1 space, and then type in appliances. And once I have Table 1 appliances, go ahead and hit OK. And notice now up here it says Table 1 appliances. Now let's go ahead and hover over our second table. And let's click on this icon to select the entire table. Come back up here to our References tab under our Captions grouping. Insert a caption. This time we're going to do a colon, space, glass, and aluminum. Once again, double check your spelling. Make sure you've spelled everything correctly. We don't get points off for misspelling something. Go ahead and hit OK. And now hover over the third table. We're going to click on this icon again. It's going to highlight the entire table. Come up here to our Insert Caption. We're going to put a colon, space, and old tires. Make sure you capitalize the T for tires. Go ahead and hit OK. And then lastly, go ahead and hover over, hit this little icon here. Come up here to Insert Caption. This time we're going to do colon, space, scrap metal. And then hit OK. So now we have captions for every single one of our tables. Now it says if there is a blank paragraph below scrap metal, we need to delete it. Well, there it is. There is a blank paragraph right there after scrap metal. So I'm going to go ahead and click right before that paragraph marking and hit the delete key. And that will go ahead and delete that paragraph mark and get rid of that extra space. Now it says, beginning on page 1, for each heading 1, we want to mark an entry for all of our main heading 1s. So I'm going to scroll all the way back up here to the top of the page. And where it says networking, I want to highlight the word networking. So highlight networking. It's okay if it gets the paragraph marking, but we want to highlight networking. And now we want to come up here to our index group, and I want to click on Mark Entry. And when I click on Mark Entry, under Main Entry, it's going to say Networking. I'm going to go ahead and hit Mark. And I'm going to move this box out of the way. So I'm going to go ahead and click and drag this box and move it over here. Notice now, under Networking, if you have the paragraph marks turned on, we have this XE Networking, meaning we are now creating an index for our document. And we're going to see what that does in just a little bit. So now for special events, let's go ahead and highlight special events. And then come back over here to our Mark Entry box. Go ahead and click on it. And now, once again, it will give us the ability to mark. Make sure Main Entry says Special Events and hit Mark. And then come to Workshops and Seminars. Go ahead and click in front of it, then highlight it. And then come back over here to our Mark Entry box. Click on the Mark Entry box. Workshops and Seminars should now be here. Go ahead and hit Mark. And scroll down until we find Other Chamber Services. Let's go ahead and highlight Other Chamber Services. Come back over to our Mark Entry. Let's go ahead and click on that. Now it should say Other Chamber Services here. Let's go ahead and mark that. And lastly, let's scroll all the way down to Ambassadors Club. Let's highlight Ambassadors Club. Go ahead and click on Mark Entry. Now Ambassadors Club should be here, and let's go ahead and mark that. So now we have marked each of our main headings as an index. Now we have to do that same thing for all of the subheadings. And this is where things get a little bit tricky. It's a little bit more involved. So first we need to highlight Morning Business Connection. And once you've highlighted Morning Business Connection, we need to come over here and click on the mark index entry box. And notice that under main entry, it will put Morning Business Connection. The problem is that we are not making this a main entry, but we are making this a sub entry. So we need to highlight Morning Business Connection, right click and hit cut, and then right click on sub entry and hit paste. So we moved it down. But that's not all. We also need to type in networking as the main entry. And you have to make sure you spell it correctly or it's not going to work right in our index. So let's go ahead and type in networking. And make sure you capitalize the N. And once you've done that, go ahead and hit mark. And now we have to do that same thing to lunches and mixers. So I'm going to highlight lunches and mixers. Then I'm going to click on mark entry. And unfortunately, it's going to be in the main entry. So I'm going to have to highlight that, right click on it and hit cut. And then right click under sub entry and hit paste. And then type in networking again under the main entry. Once that's done, I'm going to go ahead and hit mark. And now you'll notice how these two will have these different indexes here. These indexes don't print up when we print our document. This is only showing because we have our paragraph marks turned on. So let's continue on. We've already marked special events as a main entry. So let's go underneath it to ribbon cutting ceremonies. Let's go ahead and highlight that. And then we'll come back over here to our mark entry, click on it. And once again, we want this to be a sub entry. So we'll highlight cutting ribbon cutting ceremony, right click and hit cut. And then right click under sub entry, hit paste. But this time under main entry, we want to type in special events. And once again, make sure you capitalize the S, the E, and make sure everything is spelled correctly. And hit mark. Now we've already got workshops and seminars as a main entry, so we're going to go down to new member orientation, and we're going to highlight new member orientation. And we'll come over here to our mark entry, we'll click on it, and we're going to cut new member orientation and paste it as a sub entry. And this time we want to put main entry as workshops and seminars. Make sure everything's spelled correctly, hit mark. And then go ahead and highlight Industrial Forum. And click our mark entry. And we'll cut this and move it to our sub entry. And now we're going to type in, again, workshops and seminars. Make sure it's spelled correctly. Hit mark. All right, so now we've done Industrial Forum. Now we're under Other Chamber Services. It's marked as a main entry. So let's go ahead and highlight Government Relations and click on our mark entry box. Let's go ahead and cut this and paste it under sub entry. This time we want to type in under main entry Other Chamber Services. Make sure you double check your spelling, hit mark. And then the last one is going to be Recycling Program. Let's go ahead and highlight Recycling Program. Click on mark entry. Let's go ahead and cut our main entry and paste it as a sub entry. And then once again, Other Chamber Services. as our main entry and hit mark. And we're done because Ambassador Club's finished up. I know that was a lot of work, but wait until you see the payoff and what happens when we create our index. We're done with this, so we can go ahead and hit the close button. And we're going to move on to step number 10. At the end of the document, it wants us to insert a manual page break. So go ahead and hold down the control key and hit end. If you don't have control end, you can go ahead and scroll all the way down to the very bottom of the document and put your cursor at the end of Ambassadors Club. And it wants us to insert a manual page break. Well, we can do that by holding down the control key and hitting enter. And notice that it will take us to a new page. You can also insert a manual page break by coming up to the the layout tab, and where it says breaks, you can do a page break. But anyway, let's go to our newly created page. And at this very first blank paragraph mark, let's go ahead and type in all caps index and hit enter 2 times. Now it wants us to highlight index. And once we've highlighted it, we want to come to our home tab. From our home tab, let's change the font size to 16. And we want to bold it, so hit the B button for bold. And we also want to center it under paragraph right here. All right, so now we want to go back to our last line of the document. So right here, this second paragraph mark. And we want to insert an index with the formal format. So let's go to our References tab. From References, under Index, we're going to insert an index right here. And we want to format where it says From Template. We want to do a formal, so go ahead and scroll down to find formal. And we want our page numbers right aligned, which it already should be check marked, but make sure there is a check mark where it says right aligned page numbers. And go ahead and hit OK. And now we have an index. And double check your index real quick. Just make sure everything's correct. Make sure you have a Ambassadors Club. Make sure under N we have networking, and then we have our subheadings of lunches and mixers and morning business connection. And then under O we have under other chamber services with its 2 sub. And then under special events, we have ribbon cutting ceremony. And under W, we have workshops and seminars with their 2 subheadings as well. So all of that marking made it easy to create an index for our page. All right, so now we want to go to home. So go ahead and hold down the control key and hit home. Or go ahead and scroll all the way to the top of the document and put your cursor right before the C for City of Tawny Creek. And we want to insert a next page section break. So let's go ahead and come up here to our layout tab. From our layout tab under breaks, let's click on breaks. Under section breaks, we want to do next page. Once we've created a next page, let's go ahead and go back to our newly created first page. And then right over here to the right or left of our section break, go ahead and put your cursor and type in table of contents, all caps. Once you've typed in table of contents, go ahead and highlight table of contents, and you can go ahead and include that section break afterwards. We'll go to the Home tab, and we want to select the normal style under Styles. And when we do that, it will change table of contents to our normal style. Go ahead and put your cursor after the S of table of contents and go ahead and hit enter 2 times, 1 time and 2 times. And then go ahead and highlight table of contents again. We'll come up here to our Home tab under our font group. We're going to change the font size to 16. We're going to apply bold and center. Now we want to come back to our paragraph, this second paragraph right here. Put your cursor in front of the paragraph marking. And we're going to insert a table of contents. So let's go to our References tab. And from our References tab, we are going to find right here where it says Table of Contents. Let's click on Table of Contents and all the way down to a Custom Table of Contents. We want to select the formal style. So where it says Formats from Template, click the down arrow and find Formal. And then go ahead and hit OK. And now we have a table of contents. And once again, that indexing helped us create a table of contents that is properly formatted for us. Let's go ahead and save our changes just for good measure in case anything happens. So hit the Save button up here. And now we want to position our cursor at the last paragraph of page 1. And it says to the left of the section break. So we want to click at the very bottom of the paragraph. Notice that my my cursor is right here before the paragraph mark. And go ahead and hold down your control key and hit enter. Once again, if you don't have control key, you can come up here to our layout tab and you can click on break and you can do a page break. But anyway, let's go back to our newly created page 2 and put our cursor right before this paragraph marking. And let's type in table of figures. And once you've typed in table of figures, hit enter. I'm going to zoom back out a little bit. There we go. And let's highlight table of figures. And we're going to come up here to our font group. Click the down arrow. We're going to change it to 16. And we're going to change it to bold. And we are going to center it again. And now go ahead and click right here before the paragraph marking. And we're going to insert a table of figures. So let's go to our References tab. And from our References tab, we're going to go to our table under Captions, Table of Figures. Go ahead and click on Table of Figures. And Format, we're going to, from Template, we're going to make it a formal format. And go ahead and hit OK. And now, remember those tables that we added captions to, they are now under our Table of Figures. And let's go ahead and save this again for good measure. And I'm just going to kind of show you the document. So now we have a table of contents, which starts at page 1. Table of figures, which starts at page 2. Then we have the rest of our document, which is 3, and then 4, 5, and then our index is on page 6. But there is a problem with this. You do not include the table of contents and table of figures in your page count in a document for when you're doing a research paper. So we need to change this so these are not labeled as 1 and 2, but as labeled as I, double I, and triple I. So let's go ahead and go into our footer. So I'm going to go down here over here to the Insert tab. And over from the Insert tab, I'm going to come to the Header Footer group. I'm going to click on Footer, and I'm going to Edit Footer, which is going to take me to, oh, this is page 2. I don't want to be on page 2. I want to be on page 1. So come up here to page 1, and I want you to highlight number 1. And then I want you to right click on the 1 and I want you to hit Format Page Numbers. And we're going to have our Page Numbers Format tab show up here. And it says change the number format to I, and triple I. So where it says number format 1, 2, 3, I'm going to click the down arrow and I'm going to click on the 3 different I's right here. And then I'm going to hit OK. And notice now I have I. And on page 2 I have double I. And on page 3 it says 3. Because it realizes that we have a table of contents It recognizes that we have a table of figures and it enables those as such. But it notices that we now have our document starts on page 3. But the problem with that is we don't want it to be page 3. We want this to be our new page number 1. So let's go ahead and highlight the 3. And let's go ahead and after you highlight the 3, right click on the 3 and hit Format Page Numbers. And here where it says continue from previous section, we want to click where it says start at. And we want to put a 1 right here because we want this to start at 1 and hit OK. And now we have page 1, page 2, page 3, and then page 4. But it still left the first 2 pages as I and II. Alright, so we're done with our footer, so we can go ahead and hit close header and footer. But now there's another problem that we just created. So because we changed the page numbers, our networking doesn't start on page 2 anymore. It's now on the new page 1. And then they're saying our table of figures is wrong. These figures are no longer on page 4, they're on page 3. So we need to update these. So if you come up here to our table of contents and right click on our table of contents, just right click somewhere here, and we can click update field. And now it'll ask if we want to update page numbers only. That is correct, so I'm going to hit OK. And now notice that the page numbers have changed. And I'm going to do that the same thing with table of figures. I'm going to right click on table of figures. I'm going to click update field and page numbers only, hit OK. And notice now it changes it to the right page numbers. And then lastly, I'm going to do the same thing for my index. I'm going to scroll all the way down to my index. I'm going to right click on the index and I'm going to update field. And boom, it automatically updated it for me. I didn't have to do page numbers. So now our documents is looking pretty good. We've indexed everything. We put a table of figures, a table of contents. Now we're going to go ahead and go to the top of the document. I'm going to click on table of contents. You can hold down Control and hit Home, which will take you to the top of the document as well. And we want to do a cover page. We want to put in a cover page. So we're going to come up here to our Insert tab. And from our Insert tab, where it says Pages, we're going to do a cover page. And we want to put in a retrospect cover. So we want to find the one that says retrospect. So I'm going to scroll down. Here it is. Here's retrospect. So I'm going to click on retrospect. And now we have a cover page. And under the document title, let's go ahead and type in Chamber of Commerce. And in the subtitle document, let's go ahead and type in Program Descriptions. And it wants us to delete the rest of the text on the page. So down here where it says Go Series, go ahead and highlight Go Series, hit the delete key. Actually, go ahead and click on the author button right here and hit delete, which will get rid of that. And same thing with company name. Go ahead and click on company name, hit delete, and then click on this company name icon here, hit the delete key. And then lastly, right here where it says address, click on the address and hit delete. And just hit the backspace until everything else is gone down here. We just want to make sure there's nothing here. And the only words, the only text we want are the Chamber of Commerce and program descriptions. All right, we also now want to insert a draft 1 watermark. So we'll come up here to our design tab. And from our design tab, under page background, we're going to click on watermark. And we want to find the one that says draft 1. So scroll down until you find draft number 1 right here. And it's just going to put the word draft and watermark behind it. All right, lastly, we want to put in our tags. So let's go to our File tab here. From our File tab, let's come down here to Show All Properties. And where it says Tags, add a tag, we're going to type in Chamber Programs in all lowercase. Make sure you spelled it correctly. We don't want to get points off. Under categories, type in CGS. And under where it says author, if it says Go Series, right click on Go Series and hit delete person. And then under add an author, type in your name. And we are done. We can go ahead and hit the save button here. I'm going to save it again for good measure. And then I can close out of the document. Come back to this downloading starting materials. I'm going to exit out of this. I'm going to choose a file. And I'm going to find my student file. I'm going to hit open and upload and submit for grading. And kudos, we're done. Let's hit close assignment. But now we want to see how well we did or how bad we did. So I'm going to scroll all the way down here to our Word Chapter 10 Grader project. Click on the 3 dots here. Hit View Submissions. And it looks like I got a 92. Oh, I did something wrong. I'm going to go ahead and click on my assignment here to open up my report card. And then here I can scroll down and I can see what I did wrong. It looks like I did something wrong here. I can click on this and expand it. And it says business training was not detected. I must have misspelled something there. I can open up my file and check it again. And then under here, it looks like I did something wrong here. I'm going to click on this. And it looks like I did not set a table style. Look back at my directions here. And it looks like in a table, in my instructions here, I completely missed over changing the tables to grid table 4 accent 1. So you can go back and change that in your document and resubmit it. And then it looks like I did something wrong here. I'll click on this. It looks like something with my indexing was wrong. And then lastly, update the table of contents. And it looks like, again, something was wrong with my indexing. So I'm going to go ahead and just, I'm going to open up my document again. I'm going to go back to my downloads folder here. I'm going to open up my file again. And I'm going to scroll down to my indexing here. And I'm going to see what I did wrong. Oh, and here it is. This is what I forgot right here. It looks like I missed this for some reason in my indexing. So that can actually fix this pretty easy. I can go ahead and highlight business training. And I can go ahead and come back up here to my references tab. And I can go ahead and mark entry. And I'm going to cut this and move it to a sub entry. And now I'm going to type in workshops and seminars. And hit mark. Now it looks like I also did not change this to a heading 2 style. So I'm going to highlight business training. I'm going to highlight this whole thing here. Come to my home tab. And from my home tab, I want to make it a heading 2 style. So now it looks just like my business training, new member orientation, and industrial forum. I'm done with my mark entry box here, so I'm going to exit out of that. The other thing I did wrong was I did not change these 4 tables to grid table 4 accent 1. So I want to go ahead and do that now. I want to go ahead and click on this table. Come up here to my table design. And I want to find my table style grid table 4 accent 1. So I'm going to click the down arrow with the line above it. Grid tables. I'm going to find grid table 4 accent 1. Right here, grid table 4 accent 1. I want to uncheck header row. And I'm going to do that for the other ones as well. I'm going to click on this table 2 here. click on the down arrow with the line above it, go to my grid table 4 accent 1. I'm going to click on that, uncheck header row, and I'm going to do that for grid table 3 here. Click on table 3, down arrow. I'm going to change it to grid table 4 accent 1, uncheck header row, scroll down, click on scrap metal, hit the down arrow, grid table 4 accent 1, header row. I'm going to uncheck it. Now lastly, because I changed the indexing, I will have to go to the index. I will have to right click on the index and hit update field, which will now put business training under my workshops and seminars. And I also have to do the same thing to our table of contents. I need to right click on the table of contents, hit update field. This time I want to update the entire table and hit OK. And now I'll have business training under workshops and seminars. And now I think I fixed everything that was wrong. I'm going to hit the save button again. I'm going to exit out of it. And I'm going to exit out of my report card here. And now I'm going to resubmit it. So I'm going to click on my assignment again. And I'm going to choose my file again. Here it is, my student file. Hit open, upload, submit for grading, close the assignment. And now I'm going to double check my grade. I'm going to hit the 3 dots. I'm going to view my submissions again. And there it is. I fixed everything and now have 100%. Feel free, go back and redo this assignment as many times as possible for the best grade possible. Fix what mistakes I made and resubmit for 100 if you would like. And feel free, if you have any other questions, comments, or concerns, contact me through Canvas. Have a wonderful day.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you found this video useful, please like and subscribe to the channel, as I'll be posting new walkthroughs and tech tips each week. Check back regularly for new content, and have a wonderful day.